Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Renaldi Pramudiya. Good morning, English people. So, today in this video, I would like to discuss about review a textbook of English for Indonesian secondary school. So, I have already downloaded two books. The first book is about 8 principles, and the second book is a textbook, English textbook, Indonesian English textbook. This is the book I have downloaded, and I will relate this book with the first book. The 8 principle I will relate the 8 principle book with this book, buku bahasa Inggris for SMA, MA, SMK kelas 10, and buku guru bahasa Inggris kelas 10 for SMA, MA, SMK. So, in this video, I will show you the student and the teacher books where I find the following 8 principle. The first principle is first, the PRIMACY of input. Principle 2, meaning focus output is important. Principle 3, do not overteach grammar. Principle 4, focus on high frequency words. Principle 5, teach words in meaningful chunks. Principle 6, focus in fluency development. Principle 7, motivation is key to language learning. And the last is Principle 8, amount and intensity of the interaction go hand in hand. So let's discuss the first principle. First principle, the PRIMACY of input. Input is arguably one of the most important elements in English learning. It does not matter whether we are talking about children learning their mother tongue or adult learning a second or foreign language. They need a large amount of language input. Given the central role of input in language acquisition, in particular in early phase learning, it appears reasonable to suggest the following 2 points when we try to provide rich input in the classroom. First, we should strive to use more English in classroom. As in many ELT classroom, teacher talk often serves as the main source of language input. And second, we should provide opportunities for students to read and listen to a lot highly interesting and comprehension language. This can be done by implementation of extensive reading-listening program where students are given a large amount of convincing and compelling material to read and listen on a regular basis. So this book fulfill the first principle where the teacher give the opportunities for the student to read the material, and this according with the second point. Like you see the picture, that's the screenshot that include the principle 1, and you can find the principle 1 in the first chapter. For example, you can find the principle 1 in chapter 1 about talking about a subject, and in the teacher book there are lesson plan. The teacher asks the student to reading or do something. So next to the principle 2, meaning focus output is important. Where learner output is concurrent, the following 2 points are important to note when we design speaking or writing tasks. First, we need to design tasks that link input with output-based practice. That often means giving students opportunities to read and listen a number of texts to help them become familiar with language that they will later need for production. And the second, fluency-based speaking or writing activities should include the student practicing familiar or new materials. This would ensure that their oral and written production is both UN and accurate. So this book also fulfill the principle to fulfill both of these two things, where students are asked to read in addition to being asked to practice with the material they are learning. For the example, to proving you can see the picture in the PPT in presentation slide. So next to the principle 3. Principle 3. Do not overteach grammar. This book fulfills the third principle, or fulfill the principle 3. The grammar that is taught is general grammar, which is often learned in elementary school. The level of grammar material gives in also normal, so it doesn't put too much pressure on the student. You can see in the picture in the presentation slide, that's the example of the grammar was taught in this book. So next to the principle 4. Focus on high frequency word. What is high frequency words? High frequency words are words that occur frequently or are used the most. The fourth principle emphasizes to focus on high frequency words. The goal or the aim is to make it easier for students to improve their English skill. This book fulfill the principle 4, that the word high frequency is used a lot in this book. This book also provides vocabulary exercise to improve student abilities. You can see in the presentation slide, the picture is the example of vocabulary exercise you can find in this book, and also you can know these books using a lot of high frequency words. So the next is principle 5. Teach words is meaningful chunks. One of the implications of fulfill this principle is that we need to provide opportunities for our students to see and hear the speech expansions repeatedly as often as possible in the early stage of learning. This, again, can be done by encouraging our students to read and listen extensively and in the language. I'm sorry. The double exports of formula expansion found in the seated or non-seated text will gradually allow the learner to internalize the speech chunk of language. This book also fulfills the 5 principle or principle 5, where students are given the opportunity to practice listening, then ask them for a few word piece and complete them. You can see in the presentation slide, the picture is the example of the exercise to complete pieces, to complete a few words pieces and complete them. You can see that's example. Okay, next to the principle 6. Focus on fluency development. Fluency is often defined as the ability to process language with ease and accuracy. In the area of reading, fluency can be determined as the ability to read rapidly with ease and accuracy, and to read with an appropriate expression and phrasing. It involves a long incremental process, and text comprehension is the expected outcome. According by Grape in 2000 In 10, the frequency in reading is often associated with the development essential soft skills such as word record organization and synthetic processing skill. The development of this skill is incremental and requires a long period of time. Extensive practice through extensive exposure to reading material is needed to develop ultimately in this skill. And this book also fulfill the sixth principle or principle 6. The students are often asked to read. Reading activity that are carried out repeatedly, apart from being able to train student fluency, are also able to train student thinking forward to grasp the important point of what they read. You can see in the picture, in the presentation slide, there's the example of the material the teacher give to the student to read it, and the teacher asked the student to read a lot of material, and this is also can increase their fluency skill. And this in reading, not only train student fluency, but it's also train student to thinking power, to catch the important thing from what they read. So next to the principle 7. Motivation is key to language learning. That motivation plays a key role in learning is something that every teacher would really acknowledge. Motivated learnings are enthusiastic, goal-oriented, commitment, presence, and conduct in their learning. They are willing to work hard to achieve their goal and do not easily give up until they achieve the goal. There is no part in this book that especially provides to motivation to be enthusiastic about learning English. In the teacher handbook, there is also no session where teachers are asked to motivate their student. Teachers are only asked to learn more from other source beside the material provided by the book in the further activity session. However, this book fulfill the 7 principle in which teachers use appropriate learning method and are not rigid. You can see in the presentation slide the further activity, that's the example, that's the what the student the teacher asks for the student in the further activity. It's like kelas tambahan in bahasa or materi tambahan in bahasa that you can get provided from the book. Principle 8, and the last principle 8. Amount and intensity of interaction go hand in hand. On the 8th principle, more study time is not a good thing because it is considered ineffective, and the learning time is so long it will make students feel bored. This book fulfills the 8th principle. The time allocation for the material given is not that long, and this is not so long, and this book is also written for material that seem a lot so that it can be discussed in the 2 study meeting. Teachers are also asked to wisely choose material according to predetermined time. And you can see in the presentation slide, that's the time allocation in this book. You can, if you want to read the time allocation, you can pause the video. So I think that's all about my presentation about review elementary review a textbook of English for Indonesian secondary school. I hope you can understand. I hope you can enjoy to watch this video. Thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you can catch the point what I was explain. Thank you, and thank you for watching. And Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, and have a nice day.